All right, we got some people hopping on. Hey guys. Hey, Alex and Jennifer and John. Got Vince, Lori, Justin. Welcome back, guys. Excited for another Noble Alliance call. We're going to let the room fill up and then we will get started in just a couple of minutes. Cole, I see you. I don't actually see you. See your name. Welcome, guys. All right, guys, we're going to get started. We'll give it a couple more minutes. I know we had opened this up tonight for pretty much anyone who wants to hop on. Danny is actually at a leadership event, so he will not be attending tonight. So Michael and Jesse are going to switch it up just a little bit. We're going to go off of the foundations of success. We'll come right back to that next week. But I think you guys are going to be in for a treat with what they've prepared for you. Topics of discussion include DMOs for life, and DMO stands for Daily Method of Operations. It's going to be more of an open forum, and then also discussion on the power of choices. So definitely, if you have pen and paper, get them, or if you're a cell phone note taker, I think you're going to get some really good nuggets, some really good things that you can implement immediately in your life. As always, make sure that you are prepared at the end. If you have questions, throw them in the chat throughout the call. And then at the end, we'll flip you guys all on and you're welcome to ask any of those questions as well. So Michael and Jesse, if you guys are ready, we will kick it off. Oh, same room, guys.
What is going on, guys? So we're in the we're in the bourbon room. Dude.
It's the library.
The library. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we are. Jesse's a connoisseur. Got you name it, he's got it. It's awesome. Yeah. I've learned a lot about bourbon in the last year.
Yeah, we should do a series on bourbon.
yeah, absolutely, we should. Yeah. So what's up, guys? Yeah, myself, Jesse, and we just figured, like with as Erica mentioned, Danny's at a leadership conference, and we thought, you know what, let's talk about some things that can really move the needle pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yes. And the way this was spawned, I don't know if he's on yet, but we have a coaches retreat that we're doing for one of our companies in Venice Beach. Michael's actually going to be a guest speaker at that, coaching on sales and closing. And one of the speakers is doing a kind of what I'm talking to you about today. He's going to be going over a DMO for life. And DMO is a business term. Stands for Daily Method of Operation. Some people call it an IPA, income producing activity. Some people call it an MMA, money making activity, but they're basically a series of critical tasks that will lead to building a business. And over the course of going to seminars and perfecting our business DMOs, I'm like, well, if I could have these critical tasks that allow me to just turn the dial. Okay, if I want to turn the dial of income up, I just turn these tasks up, these 5 things. Or if I want to take a little bit more time and don't want to run that hard, I can turn these tasks down. Okay, what if there was a dial for other areas in life? What if there were critical tasks for other areas of life? For our faith, for our finances, for our family, fun, fulfillment, friendships. And there are. So your biggest deliverable tonight, and we'll email this to you, or you can take notes, or you could do both. The more senses you have engaged, the better. Is I'm going to be sharing my life DMOs with you guys. And we're going to kind of get interactive. I'm going to ask you guys to be ranking yourself on the 5 Fs. And I'm going to show you my real life ranks on my 5 Fs. Okay. And then we're going to work through this together. Like some of my 5 Fs, they rank at a 3. Okay. But guess what? I have a plan already written out of how to get that 3 to a 4 if I need to get it, if I so desire to get it from a 3 to a 4. So this is going to help you quit reacting to life and proactively start building a life and have actionable tasks. Because you just sent a podcast by Andy Versell, and that podcast had some really, really good points. Like, we're not talking about goals. We're not talking about like your DMO for business isn't like, I'm going to make $1 million. Okay. Yep. That could be the end result of consistently doing your DMOs, but can you kind of speak to that? Because Andy had a good point. He's like, these aren't goals. Yep. These are critical tasks that lead to a result, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really about doing something that is going to, it's going to move the needle. It's going to, a change is going to occur by doing that task.
Right.
And it's really about identifying what areas you really need to focus on and then attacking it quickly.
Right.
You know, right. And I think so many things, the problem is people, I think like we were talking about earlier, was people kind of wake up and they're like, oh, I hope today's the day.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I hope I get it today. And it's like, well, what are you doing?
Right.
To get it today.
Right.
You
right.
know?
That's a good point, is when you're uncompromising, and that's one of the rules of having a DMO for your life. It's uncompromising. It doesn't rely on motivation. As a matter of fact, when you're setting your DMOs, and again, I'm going to share mine. You guys can maybe use those as a template. But when you're setting your DMO, I want you to pretend that you wake up tomorrow with the worst cold that you've ever had. You're one of your kids gets sick. You fall and sprain your ankle. This critical task still gets done. Okay. So when you're setting these, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to do a fitness DMO and I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours a day when you haven't been to the gym 2 hours in the last month. Yeah. That's not a critical task. A critical task is your life depends on it. They get done and then they kind of culminate.
Yes.
All right. So 100%. That's super important. So when you see like some of my DMOs for life, there's one thing on there. Okay. But guess what? That one thing gets done every single day. So I'm going to dive in, and I'm really curious to see what other people think of this and what your guys' viewpoint. But I'm telling you, if this is something that you apply to your life, your needle will immediately start to move. And like what Michael said, I like what he said. How do you know if you won or not? Just if you have energy, you wake up, oh, I feel good today. Okay, that's rolling dice. Life is not a game of craps. Like, I woke up feeling horrible Monday, but I still won my day. How did I win my day? Because I got my critical tasks done. Mm-hmm. That's how you win your day. Yeah, you're still going to have bad days, but you're going to look at that critical task and be like, you know what? I know because I did this today and I've done the last 375 days, it's going to lead to something great.
Yep. Okay. And I think too, something that's very important on this is that if there's an area that's lacking, let's say it's your sales, or let's say it's your physical physique, or if there's an area where you're like, man, this area is really pissing me off. Right? Like I don't understand. Well, how are you attacking that area?
Right. I mean, and yeah, exactly. Or do you have a plan? Right. And after tonight, you're going to have a plan. I mean, you're going to have my plan, but it's fairly universal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Obviously, you want to make this your own. Yeah. But you're going to have a plan after today, and that's empowering. Yeah. That makes it look like, wow, man, my intimacy hasn't been good. Well, then I go to my critical task list, and I'm like, well, maybe I need to add something. Have we been consistent with this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's just go on how like most people are lifing. Most people are lifing, they have no map, no standard. And that's really what a daily method of operation is it's a standard. Remember I said, no matter how you wake up, you sprain your ankle, it gets done anyway. It is your standard for how you life. So what I'm going to invite everyone to do is I want you to rank 1 through 5. 5 meaning like you're super content with your growth in all of your 5 F's. So you have your faith, your finances, your fitness, friends, and fulfillment. Okay. And under friends is friendships. Those could be romantic relationships. That could be husband, wife. That could be friends. That could be family. So kind of, a couple F's are accompanied under that. So rank 1 through 5. And a 5 doesn't mean that you're perfect. A 5 means that you're happy with the growth in that area. So I want to make sure that that's understood. Okay. Just like a 1 doesn't mean that, oh man, I'm just getting killed. It just means you're very, very unhappy with the growth in that area.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like a 1 through 5, like good or bad or necessarily. It's how content you are with the growth in that area. So
yeah, I think it's very important that you guys, if you want to take away something from this call, is write down where you are in these areas, because we want an actionable takeaway here.
Right.
We don't just want to talk like, oh, I was bored tonight and I hopped on a
Yeah,
call.
right.
We want an actionable takeaway. So
right. And if my critical tasks don't resonate with you in these 5 F's, and you're ranking like a 2 or 3 or something, that's who I want to hear from tonight, and be like, okay, how can I move the needle on this? Because Jesse, your DMOs in this realm wouldn't fit my lifestyle. Okay. All right. So let's go. I did this earlier, so we can kind of dive right in. And it's like, yeah, that's how people are living life. They're like, just no plan, no standard. Just if I feel good, I'm just rolling the craps.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. So let's go into doing this ranking. All right. So faith. I ranked my faith a 5. Okay. Now that does not mean I can quote scripture if you tie faith into like a religion, or that doesn't mean like I'm a monk or nothing. I meditate 5 hours a day. No, that means that I am killing it in my DMOs for faith, which are right in front of you right now. And I'm feeling very fulfilled. I'm feeling my wife and I are growing in faith, and I'm happy with the growth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to rate myself a 4 on that one.
Okay. 4 on the faith.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And I would say only because I could be a little bit more involved in a couple of things. Like I could be in a small group or lead one.
Sure.
And I'm not right now. So, and I don't always attend every week. Sometimes it's online.
Oh yeah.
So
for
like,
sure.
I need to be in person.
Right.
So,
but at the same point, remember, Michael, it's kind of your growth in that area.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Here, let me go back just real quick.
Yeah, sure.
And guys, you guys will all get a copy of this, but here is my DMOs. These things get done again, whether I'm sick, healthy, no matter what. I do a devotional every single morning. Okay. Now, if that means, I don't know, say I got a real bad flu and I just got to do it, and then I go back to bed, it gets done, period. 3 faith-based podcasts per week. It's normally more like 10. I listen to them when I work out, but again, 3 is the standard. 3 is the standard. So whether I'm traveling, whether we're on vacation, 3 gets done. Lead a small group. So obviously we show up to our small group. People don't just come here and like, there's no leader. Volunteer for the church, and then attend service weekly. Though that is my critical tasks for faith. Okay. And again, this isn't like a check. Okay. A lot of these things have been habits. They are the bare minimum. All right. And right now I'm happy with my faith. It's growing at a 5. So we'll move on. So I'm not going to add, I'm not going to take any tasks away, but it's interesting to point out that this ranks a 5. These things I don't have to think about. They've been going on for so long. I don't have to think about them. All right. Next, finances. I'm a nerd. Probably should just be a 3, but I put 3.5. I'm just giving myself some grace. 3.5.
Get out of here. In the world.
So again, does that mean that I view myself as, oh man, I'm not making ends? No, that means that I'm not content with the growth in my finances as I am in my faith.
But listen, here's what people like. So you're giving yourself a 3.5.
Right.
And what I think people may not totally understand is some self-evaluation in your life is really critical.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
You really need to be honest with yourself. Like if you get your paycheck and you only have $70 left until the next paycheck, you're at like a -1 in this category.
Yeah, right.
Like you've got to figure out like, okay, I'm not, I'm paying my bills, but do you have any money put back? Are you investing? Are you giving anything to other people?
Right.
Like what are
you 100%.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, what I want to remind everyone who's tuned in, the score does not reflect your bank account. My bank account could have $1 billion in it. Yeah. And I would still give myself a 3.5 right here.
Correct.
It reflects the contentness, the happiness I have with the growth in the area.
Right.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So when you're doing this, if you're struggling financially, you could be a 5 in this. If you're like, hey man, I feel like I'm growing just fine in this area. It's not causing me stress. It's not taking away from my fulfillment. Mm-hmm. So here's my DMOs. These are like social media based. If people have questions on what any of those mean, I'm happy to share. Let's move on.
Yep.
Oh, and actually we'll go. So by the way, to get this to it's a 3.5, to get this to a 4, guess what I do? Do I go like pay for a course? Do I go like run Facebook ads? Do I call Michael and we do sales role play? Or we can do that actually. maybe we would do that. No, guess what I do? I just dial it up. I dial those critical tasks up. That's it. See what I mean about having the plan?
Yeah. And the other thing is if someone has the equation for you to dial it up,
right,
you need to listen to those people.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So I struggle with this. Like there are certain things, and I'm not being arrogant or cocky, but I kind of am. There's certain things I have the equation to it.
Sure.
I know what it takes. So, but I talk to people and I'm like, okay, I just gave you the answer. It's right there. Well, there's kind of this, okay, so what is it going to take for you? If someone tells me, Jesse, that I need to do something and it might take until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, but it's going to take my finances to a 5, like that's what I'm doing.
Right.
What else are you doing?
I think that people get a fear of commitment, or I think what happens is I think what it is, Michael, is people get afraid it works for you because you're some kind of magical person and it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing. These critical tasks work for all human beings.
Yeah.
They're universal.
Yes.
I have to imagine what that would be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess it may just be a thing. Cause like, here's the thing, guys, when I was younger, it used to be like, if my uncle didn't bring groceries or my grandpa didn't bring groceries, like we were going kind of without groceries. Or I would wear shoes sometimes that were so small on my feet that would deform my feet. I mean, so I grew up a little bit. I moved 16 times in the first 8 years of my life. And so I'm not saying wasn't horrible. I mean, it wasn't like perfect, but I've experienced like that other side. So I guess for me, it's like whatever I have to do to not go there, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just want to put that out.
No, I'd like to. We can open this up to everyone as well. I think that sometimes if the solution is too easy, you have to take ownership of that solution.
Right.
And if people are saying, well, all I have to do is this, I own this, but if I still refuse to do it, now I have to own that consequence as well, or that decision, where it's easier to just be like, make it more complicated than it is.
Yeah.
Because now they have a reason to not do it. Oh, I listened to Michael. It sounded really complicated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
All
so
right.
Fitness.
Yeah. So what do we have? A 3.5 on the fitness. Okay. Now again, the 3.5, I'll say again, is my potential to grow. Okay. It has nothing to do with what I see in the mirror. So I really want to nail down that point. So here is my DMOs for fitness. Okay. Going to the gym 4 times a week. I didn't say be in there for an hour. Monday, I went to the gym, 15 minutes, 3 sets of lats and hightailed it out. It was all of 20 minutes. Drink a gallon of water a day, run 15 minutes when in the gym. So when I go to the gym, I can't just go to the parking lot and leave. I have to walk in and do 15 minutes. So I'm there for at least 15 minutes. And then I log my food intake. Okay. So basically doing these things will get me to a 3.5. So if I'm like, man, let's be a 4. Let's be a 4 for fitness. I want to be a little bit more content in my growth for fitness. What do? I tweak these things. That's it. I don't hire a trainer. I don't buy a fitness book. I tweak these things. All right. What do we got?
You gave yourself a 3.5?
3.5.
I think I'm going to give myself that too. And I forgot to rate myself on your finances one. I honestly think I'm a 3.5 there too. I really do. Maybe a 4. Maybe I'm a 4, but I'm not. There's other things that I could be doing there, but on my fitness, I'm right there with you on that one.
So I'm surprised, Michael, that you would put your fitness at a 3.5 because your fitness is like, I mean, it's going to the moon right now.
It is. I think, Jesse, we talked about this and I wanted you guys to kind of hear this too. This is the conversations that we have outside of these calls, but like, it's an uncompromisable approach for me, I guess. Like it's almost kind of like, for whatever reason, it's a little sense of unreasonableness. Like I just have to be unreasonable with it. And I know there's areas that if I don't personally go all in on a certain subject, I don't feel as if I'm doing my best. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I guess for me, like I know if I you know, if I half worked at the gym, I didn't work as hard, or I know I could have gotten on the stair stepper, or I know I could have ran another, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just for me, it's like it's all in or nothing for me. I can't do 60%.
Okay.
You know,
right.
I don't know.
Right. We'll talk about all or nothing thinking one day.
Yeah. It's a sickness.
Yeah. But no, I do like uncompromising. Okay. And we talked about last week about marrying the process, divorce the results. This is the process.
Yep.
Okay. This is the process. Okay. These are the minimum for me, the minimum standards for the process. All right. Fun, family, and friendships. So what this just really means, like, for me, it means marriage, you know, for me. So when I say fun, family, friendships, you know, marriage and friendships. Okay. And definitely family. So here is my DMO for that. Look, there's 2 things on there. Hopefully you're looking at these and being like, wait a minute, that's it. I'm right now, as far as growth goes, 5.
Yep.
5.
Yep. I would
you
agree.
know, we do 1 date night per week. I communicate in all text threads. I don't ignore my friends, you know, ever. So that's my standard. That's my standard for DMO. And I'm very, very happy with the growth that's going on in this department. So like those DMOs are going to stay right there. We're not going to tweak them. I'm not going to, you know, turn the knob up or down. But I will look at using, you know, turning the knob up on those fitness and finances.
Yeah. So I would have to agree with Jesse on this one on in terms of, you know, my wife and I, we don't have like hobbies other than we like to date each other and we like to hang out with our friends that date themselves as well. We kind of regularly meet up and just, it's just being around like-minded people that enjoy their marriage and enjoy friendship and camaraderie and just kind of that synergy of, and I think another one that's good for this one too, Jesse, is accountability groups.
Oh, 100%.
I think the group that we have with me, you, Jason, Kirk, Brett,
right.
And that's really been good.
I would love to see accountability groups form amongst you guys in Noble Alliance. You're in the private group.
Yes.
I that will literally, again, if you really want to dial the needle up on some of these DMOs, that accountability group is like a magnifier.
So some of these people may be thinking, okay, how do you guys do all of this stuff? That's probably what they're thinking right now. There's no way I could do all this, right? I think some people may be going, I don't know if I can do all this.
You know, I don't know. I'd like to open this up because, you know, and again, I don't, you guys know my heart. To me, my DMOs are like, I mean, you know, I show up to the gym 4 days a week and run for 15 minutes. Right. I mean, yeah, a lot of times I'll do more than that.
Yeah.
That to me is not like, you know, undoable or, do you know what I'm saying? So I guess what does happen is when you've been doing these things for years and years, I will tell you this, they just get done automatically.
Yep.
It's like a knee-jerk reaction.
Yep.
They're just, you know, like my faith, my devotionals, they're just like done. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did those without even remembering that I did them.
Yeah.
You know,
but I think for some of these, for some of these people, it may not be any of you guys may have all this figured out. I don't want anyone to think I'm making assumptions.
Right.
Please don't think that. But for a lot of people, they hear this stuff and they're like, gosh, I have so much to do. I gotta get up and I gotta do the list and I gotta go to this. And I think that what we could wrap that into, Jesse, is talking about some choices here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, honestly, I think we could talk about something I was plagued with over the weekend was I was talking about choices on my Instagram story, and I had a few people chime in and they're like, well, we've had choices since Adam and Eve and everybody has choices. And it's like, yeah, that's the problem. I mean, look how that worked out for Adam and Eve. It didn't really work out too well. They made the wrong choice. But your daily DMOs, your daily critical tasks, these are all things you have a choice on.
Yes. Yeah. These are like, they're skill proof and fear proof.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you don't need any special skill at all to drive to the gym or to read the devotion. Yeah. That's super, super good point, man.
It's just a little mindset shift. Like for me, in learning my fitness and my macro stuff, and like, I knew none of that stuff 2 months ago, none of it. Like it made no sense to me, but I made a choice to figure it out. Like it was my choice that I'm done, I'm done with this.
Right.
It's time to change it. So now I'm learning because I sought wise counsel who has told, hey, this is what you need to do. But it's very simple shifts in, guys, in talking to people, A, that know, and B, listening to them and applying, making a choice to apply that into your DMO.
You know, Michael, you were talking earlier about would people not do this? And you were kind of thinking maybe it's too complicated.
Yeah.
I almost think if it's the opposite, I almost think they're like, oh, no, there's no way.
It's too simple.
There's no way. That's too simple. No, come on, man. I want to make good money. You're saying I just do those 5 things. Come on. No way. You know, or I think what they'll do is we'll automatically go to the excuse. So say that you're ranking yourself 2 in the growth of your finances. And you're like, well, yeah, that's fine. You have a business that you can apply these DMOs to. I don't. Go get one. Make DMOs to get a business. Mm-hmm. There are so many. I mean, people can start in my wife's company for $50.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? There are thousands of online opportunities, in-person opportunities. You know, the guy that built this shelf, he had a thing for woodworking. So now he opened up on the side a woodworking business.
Yep.
Now people hire him to build shelves.
And it reminds me of our conversation where people were like, well, I don't have any money to start a business or do that. Right. Well, that's why you start the business. You make the money. Exactly. You know, you start doing something.
1,000%. What it is when you exercise the power of choice, you have to now become resourceful.
Yep.
Okay. When you say it's my decision whether I start a business or not, it's now making you be resourceful. If there's 0 in your account, guess what? You're gonna have to do what Will Smith does. You might have to go door to door for a bit in Pursuit of Happiness, one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
You might have to just start cold calling out of the phone book and asking to borrow it. You might have to do what my wife did. I think she literally sold a couch to get in her. I mean, it was crazy. I've seen people do crazy.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I've seen people do crazy stuff. Yeah. But when you believe in the power of choice, you're believing in yourself to be resourceful.
Yeah. Write this down, guys. Write this down. Your lack of resources is your greatest resource. I'm going to say it again one more time. Your lack of resources is your greatest resource. And when I was coming up through building my business through BAM Weather, guys, there were days where it was like, I had no idea how I was going to make the next dollar. But I had to get really creative because I'm like, I have to make the money. I can't just not make it. So, I mean, there were times where it's like, you know, I'm whiteboarding a whiteboard the size of this wall. All the people I'm going to prospect and reach out to.
I had a whiteboard like that.
Yeah, dude. I'm just like, okay, got to make it happen today, you know, because I'm not eating. I don't have any money, but it's when you don't have the resources, your mind goes into you're like, oh my gosh, whatever it takes.
Right.
You know, your lack of resources can be your greatest resource. And for some of you on here, I know you're young entrepreneurs. I see you on here. I know that you guys are in that position.
Right.
So think about that.
With any of these DMOs, again, they're fear-proof and they're skill-proof. Don't ever tell yourself, I can't. Okay. Focus on what you have that can make it happen.
Yeah.
Like Erica she did not have the money, okay, to start her business. She didn't focus on that. She focused on what she did have to get the money.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's great.
Yeah. So, and that's a complete mindset shift for a lot of folks. All right, let's, you want to open it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's open it up.
Yeah.
And while we're waiting if you guys have questions or comments, go ahead. But the other thing too, Jesse, is I think we kind of said, we're going to bring them in on the round table a little bit in our conversations. But when you started Macro Millionaire, and this is completely unscripted. How did you what did you do, dude, in the beginning days? I mean, how did you make it happen? What did you do? To me, it was like almost easier because opening the gyms, right? Yeah.
For them, I was going door to door getting chased by pit bulls. I had to borrow money because we talk about being resourceful. I borrowed money from a loan shark. I don't even know if it's legal what I did. Do you know what I mean? He came up, he showed up to the closing. He had the names and phone numbers of my family. And I'm like, why does he, and what he was doing? He's like, hey, if you don't pay me, I know where your mom lives right there in Macomb County. I'm like, what? it was nuts, like something out of a movie, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we had all equipment ordered and stuff, and it was supposed to be a 0 down loan. And he's like, okay, I'm going to need everything in your bank account, everything. It was 20%. And I had no way to say no. And I go, wait, you told me it was 0 down. We even have these other signed paperwork that's 0. He goes, yeah, I know, but I need to take everything that you have because that's the only way that you're going to be scared enough to pay me. Wow. Is if you can't eat. And kind of in some ways, I almost like want to thank the guy, but he's probably in jail.
Yeah.
You know what I'm, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So to answer your question, so when we went all in for Macromoney, I'm like, well, I don't have to go door to door in negative 20-degree weather and get chased by pit bulls and tell people not to solicit or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to do that. So I guess it was just, I just applied that and was like, we did it before, we're going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I had a more profound answer.
No, there's really, it's like those, you search for aha moments and there's really not a moment. It's really time.
Yeah.
It's just over time.
Right.
The habits, these habits we talked about,
right,
is what builds this, is what gets you to that point.
Yeah.
Do we have anything, Erica, do we have anybody that's
let's
anything?
open it up. So guys, this would be a good, if you've done this ranking and you've ranked 3, 2, whatever, or 5, or maybe you guys want to talk about some of the daily method operations that you have in your life, or if you've ranked low on something, be like, well, hey, this is kind of what my life looks like, Jesse, Michael, what would be some good DMOs for this?
So each day my staff does a,
can we make them?
Oh shoot, I don't think they're able to unmute. Let me see. Hang on, guys. Let me see. Gallery. Allowed. I don't.
Huh. You think there'd be like allow all?
Yeah, you think there'd be. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why there isn't an allow all button here, but if anybody,
we're just one-on-one, one-to-one unmuting you guys, so you're good to go.
So if anybody wants to chat, you guys are welcome. But what I was going to say is my staff has a daily critical task sheet that we have them work on, and I think it's made a huge difference. Looks like Alex says, how has networking with business owners who are successful currently like yourselves helped in growing your business? Is there any particular time you talked to someone who helped you open a door you never knew that was there? So I'm going to answer this real quick.
Yeah.
Alex, so it's funny you ask this, because I was just having a conversation with someone the other day about this, and my answer to you probably isn't going to be what you would expect. But I think that a lot of the networking groups, I want to be careful when I say this, in person, the local networking in-person groups that you have to pay to be a part of, I don't think they work. I think they're BS. And I think the chamber and the men's clubs and there's a lot of them. You have to be careful. There's several.
BNI.
Yeah. These don't work. I got to be careful in what I say here, but don't get caught up in that. Try to be resourceful in your own way, but lean on people and trust to build those relationships, if that makes sense.
And Michael and I are actually thinking I actually left. It was I'm not going to say the name, but it was a faith-based Christian business development group. Mm-hmm. And I left because not in any negative way, but they were just bringing me down because I really didn't have anything common with them, mm-hmm. So Alex, instead of looking for groups, I would look for people. Like Noble Alliance started a year ago because I gave myself a plan to get to know Danny, who then I got to get to know Mike. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I want to get to know him, man. We match positivity. We seem pretty growth driven. We're both in the fitness, man. That would just be a cool dude to know. Mm-hmm. And Mike, I think you were kind of the same way.
Yeah.
So then it became a relationship. And then okay, you want to attract people of value into your life. Now you have to become a person of value
Yep.
that they want into their life. So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship. So I would look for people that have what you want in the 5 F's, and start networking with them.
And here's the other part to this too, Alex, that is going to be a tough pill too, is you need to look at some people too who you probably need to fire from your life. There's probably some people that need to go away. And that's just an assumption. I don't know that for sure, but there's just some people that just aren't there for you when in the right ways.
And they could be positive. I like what Lori is saying. She's saying they eat up time. They do. A lot of like some of the networking groups that I formerly joined, they just kind of ate up time. It was just like a bunch of guys and people just kind of talking about the Colts game and stuff. And it wasn't as what I was hoping that it would be.
To wrap that up, and that's a great question, Alex. This is a tough answer. In my opinion, it's a tough question to answer. To wrap that up, dude, I mean, I think what it boils down to is the best way to talk or to get with someone who helped open a door you didn't know was there is developing that on your own. Build a one-on-one relationship with someone on your own and cultivate that one-on-one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. And the biggest takeaway, I've never had anyone like the door, with the door being open. I never had being like, oh, hey, Jesse, you should come to my corporation. And my corporation has 500,000 people and you can talk to them. And like, whoa, never had that happen. But what does happen is kind of what we're trying to occur right now is my belief gets built.
Yes.
I hear Michael's story and I'm like, man, I seem to have a lot easier childhood than this guy did. And he is killing it. And that brings me up. That makes me want to become a person that he wants to attract in his life.
Correct.
Do you know that's the more you get around those growth driven people? Yes, you want to be leveled up by them, but they're going to find areas where they want you to level them up, and it's not a conscious thing.
Yeah,
you're not like, hey, I want to be friends with this guy so I get rich. That's not how it works. You want to bring value into their life.
He said I meant person to person, not group as well. My bad. And I may have read it wrong to Alex too, but I think too is. And we can end with this on this question, but I think too, Alex, is if someone's selling you something or telling you something that sounds like it's like this magic key that opens the door, it's probably not that.
Right.
Would you agree with that? Like, listen, Alex, you know this. I'm on year 11, brother. I don't, there's not a magic key. There's not anything that anyone's told me that's been like, oh, holy crap.
Right.
It's been 11 years of just trying to figure it out.
Sure. And being around people that believe in you.
Yes.
Yeah. When I say people that have what you want people with higher lids.
Yes.
You know, we all have a lid. We talked about that last week. I want to be around people that higher lids, you know, people that are like, you know, like, hey, you know, this Airbnb sounds good. I'm going to try that tomorrow. You know, not I'm going to now analyze it, think about it for 5 years. And you know what I mean? People are just like, wow, that sounds good. Yeah. You know, I'm going to go in on this. They just have a higher lid of belief.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That was a great question.
Yeah, no, I love it. So guys, we'd like to just kind of open up the field. Again, if there's any of your rankings that you did with the 5 F's that maybe we can help with establishing your DMOs for yourself, I'd love to do that. Or any topic. The table is open.
So I'm working on I'm trying to work on a deal right now where it's a current client and we're trying to take it to a whole nother level. So essentially what we're doing is it's a customer we already have, but we're trying to make it a lot bigger.
Okay.
And I want to speak to this because I think some people may get frustrated or struggle with this. Guys, I want you guys to know big deals take a long time. Like I'm working on a deal right now. It's a 3-year deal. That's probably going to be somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000 in revenue. And it's not something that happens in a short period of time. And I've never had a deal that has been that large that happens that fast.
So where do you get the patience from?
So
I was actually looking and Googling scripture today for patience. And it happened to be in business as well. So where do you get the patience and just not get frustrated and be like, you know what, I'm not,
so
because I think a lot of people, they'll stop at year one when it might be a 2-year deal, right?
Yeah. And that's the problem is we live in this, everybody, it's like this instant gratification. Well, I started my business. Why am I not making $1 million?
Right.
Well, it took me 9 years to make $1 million.
Right.
So my point is I think the patience is an acquired skill. I think it comes with time, and I still don't really have it. But I harness that anxiety and that energy that it gives me, and I apply it to how can I get that deal?
Right.
Like,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I apply that energy to that individual in non-pressuring ways where I'm like, listen, what can I do to make this happen? So John says, is it bad to have 3s across the board, but you've built on that from 1s across the board, and you're slowly turning the dial all around for things to progress together?
Brother, it's all about how you feel about the growth. And if you're seeing a 1 to a 2 to a 3, those 3s might very well be 5s or 4s. And as long as you can look at your DMOs in those realms and be like, you know what, I know exactly what I have to do to get this 3 to a 4. And a lot of it might just be continuing to do what you're doing. Again, you don't typically add DMOs. Okay. You might kind of magnify them. So no, I think that's an amazing thing. And man, if you can look back and be like, man, I went from part of the reason my fitness is a 3.5 is because it used to be a 5. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now it's a 3.5. And but if it never used to be a 5, I might have rated it a 4 today.
Yeah.
If that,
Yeah. And I think too, John, and I tell my team this a lot, but you can't hit a target that you don't have. Like you're striving for something. So you have something daily that you're working after. And I think this is a great reminder for people to know that great things take time.
Sure.
It just takes time. There's no shortcut. And that, John, and you obviously, in the way you typed it, you know exactly what you're doing. And I think it's amazing that we're on this journey with you. Like every week we get to kind of see your progress, dude, and talk to you. I mean, you should feel like $1 million freaking dollars, because I know what you're doing is awesome.
And a big thing is it's be careful when you're rating yourself on these. Again, it's about the growth. So for example, before I met Michael, Frank, Danny, I already had DMOs of what I was doing to meet these people, not maybe them by name particularly, but I already had a DMO to level up people in my life.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So that didn't, like, meeting them didn't make my friendships a 5. Having a process that I knew was going to lead me to the right people is what made the 5.
Yep.
Okay. So super important. Like you might be like, oh, I just want to be married. I can't rank a marriage that I don't have. Okay. Well, what is your DMO to find that special someone? And yeah, there absolutely is a daily method of operations that you could put into place that will yield that relationship if that's a priority.
Question from Jason. Do you feel that your first 4 F's contribute to your fulfillment ranking? 1,000%.
1,000. Yeah.
Absolutely, Jason. I mean, you almost have to have those 4 to have fulfillment.
Right.
Right.
And we know the pathways to joy are growth and contribution. Okay. We've been blessed with the infinite capacity to grow. Our brains can always learn. We can always grow. And the more we grow, the more we can contribute.
Yes.
So those are the 2 pathways. Neuroscientists have identified them. There's actual spirituality to that as well, but growth and contribution. And that is the way to a fulfilling life.
1,000%.
100. So if you're rich in finances and broke in those other F's, your fulfillment score is not going to be that great.
Dude, so here's one thing that brings down my fulfillment very quickly. And it's like whenever my wife and I are in a spat or a disagreement, or she's not happy or something's going on that that is bothering her, it instantly steals my joy. Not in a bad way.
Right.
This is in a good way, because it makes me understand that I'm evenly yoked with her, and we are one. So if one gets out of whack, it's almost like a gauge for me that I need to make an adjustment to get it back in line, so my fulfillment gets back to right. And that comes through, that family and that faith. And
absolutely,
if one's out of whack, I'm out of whack.
Yeah,
I just can't function.
Yeah,
we were talking about it before we started. I told you about it.
Yeah,
I can't really talk about it on here, but it throws me off.
Right.
I mean, it throws me off.
Your fusion.
Yeah. Yeah. What, and here's the thing about us and Danny and we're human. We're normal people, we're just not like we're robotically massively successful and never screw up. I mean, we talk about screw ups every week. Like we mess up. I mean, I dropped I don't normally, I don't normally try to motivate and talk using curse words. I said one at the beginning of the call. I don't normally do that. I got passionate.
Today's call?
Yeah, I said the P word. And it's not, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I don't roll that way.
Right.
I make mistakes and I don't like to talk,
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. But anyways.
So what else do we have?
What else, team?
Anything at all?
Man, I would love for someone to speak up and talk about maybe their DMOs on one of their.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll tell you what. To get married, I had like a massive DMO plan,
dude.
I had all these books on relationships that I read about the imago, and I was seeing a therapist, a couple different therapists, group therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To become a better man, so that I can attract the right person. I was on like these dating, good, wholesome dating sites, I had a DMO, for finding that special someone, and it worked. It worked fairly quickly. That was cool.
I did a.
I'll speak up on that one, Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what do you got, Jennifer?
This Jennifer. So 2 weeks ago, I asked you in the group, if you remember, about finding, we were talking about partnerships and relationships, and Erica spoke up and said, "What are you doing? What are your DMOs?" Of course, I'm like, DMOs? First, and here's what and I'll be fully transparent. I was really put off for a couple days because I'm like, dating stinks as a grown woman who has 2 teenage girls. It's horrible. And I kept thinking, no, I don't put myself out there. I'm just hoping, like in my head thinking, God's going to lead me to somebody. They're either at the grocery, the gym, or someplace, right? But I tried the dating sites. It was horrible. And then I started thinking about it, going, after I got past the emotional part, going, there's a lot of truth to that. But I never thought of having DMOs for specific tasks like that in my life. I just kept thinking, I have the worst luck and it is what it is. So, after I got past the emotion, I'm thinking, okay, how do I want to tackle that? And what am I going to do? Now, it's interesting that you talked on all these other aspects, because I have to be very transparent. I don't have formal DMOs. Like, I have habits, but I haven't formalized them and written them down. So this is going to force me to go through that exercise and write down these things to create what my DMOs are. I think that they're there, but I just have to acknowledge them in writing. And I'm sorry, my dog's barking in the background, okay, good. And acknowledge them in writing so that they become my DMOs. So that's, I think, of course, writing things and claiming things are part of the process of success. So I think that this is going to just help me, formalize a process and methods that I probably am doing most of the time anyway.
Yes. I love that. And I love what you said, Jennifer, that they become habits, because you're absolutely right. They will become habits. And then now your capacity grows. Like a lot of my DMOs, particularly in the faith department, have become habitual. So I'm able to add to that without decreasing my capacity, because they have become habits.
Jennifer, you said something a minute ago that really caught my attention that I wanted to touch more on. You said something about there's things you could do to be making it happen, but you're actually not doing them. That was a very humble thing to say. Can you say that again? I was trying to.
So when we're talking about the relationship aspect, when Erica said, you need to put yourself out there. What are you doing? Are you on sites? Are you, taking the action? And that's when I said, no, I'm not. I'm not.
Yes.
And I admit it, because I already was on the sites and it was horrible.
Yes.
And then I just thought, okay, how do you go about meeting someone when you're not even doing anything, right? And that's when I said, unless it's at the gym or the grocery store, I'm not going to meet anybody. That's the way it feels right now.
Jennifer, I want to talk on that real quick. That's a very powerful moment for anybody to realize this.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people are maybe questioning certain programs or metrics they've been put on, like, oh, my boss tells me to do this, but that doesn't work. That's not working. I can't, or my trainer tells me to do this. Well, that's not working. Well, what are you doing? I mean, are you actually doing the program? Like, are you like the system isn't broken? You might not be fixed.
Well, right. Right.
And not Jennifer, I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general, like, for you to say that is for people to get into that mindset of, well, yeah,
that's a winning mindset.
I'm not doing that.
That is a winning mindset.
Yeah.
And I think it's a winning mindset, Jennifer, but I also think that, because I hear this a lot, because I just have some friends who are looking for that special somebody. And I do hear over and over, the sites don't work, or the sites aren't for me. And okay, cool. The sites kind of worked cool for me, but all right, let's just X the sites off. Okay. What are we going to do instead? And it could just be like, hey, there's this guy at church. I've never once said hi. I'm going to introduce myself. That's my DMO. I'm going to introduce myself to one new dude at church, just being like, hey, I know you've been coming here for a while. Never met you.
Yeah.
My name's Jennifer. That then becomes your DMO, and then you might say, you know what? That's not my vibe. I'm not feeling that. But then you find another actionable DMO in replacement. So
I had one of my.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But no, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
I had one guy.
Sure.
One of my guys this week. He's actually on the call. But I had said, hey, what is one thing you're doing that you're one thing you're not doing that you need to do or you could do that could really change your outcome of your. And he said, well, I'm texting and I'm emailing, but I'm not really getting on the phone. I'm like, okay, you need to pick up the phone. Next text you get a reply for someone, call them.
Right.
Like, establish the relationship, get that deal sealed up by a phone conversation instead of a text message.
Right.
But it's just realizing those points of very small adjustments, dude.
Right.
All this stuff we're talking about today, these adjustments are so small. If you blink, you'll miss them.
Right. Right.
So here. So Vince says, with critical tasks, how do you know when the task is not providing growth you're looking for? For example, how do you know when to stay persistent and continue to grind on a task versus switch things up and trying to tweak the process? Sometimes I struggle with staying the course, knowing the results will come eventually versus tweaking a task and seeing if it works better.
That is a really, really good point. It's kind of like, when do you give up on the online dating gig? Do you know what I mean? When do you okay, you had one bad experience, then you had two bad experience, now three bad experience. When do you give up? And here's my barometer for this.
Yeah,
for that. I'm really big into mastery over newness.
Say that again.
I'm really big into mastery over newness. So I look at the big picture. Is the system and process that I'm following proven? Okay. Is it kind of like is it not working for you, but it works 99% of the time for everyone else? If that's the case, then I'm going to look at, okay, am I willing to do what I need to do for this system to work for me? If the answer is yes, then do it. If the answer is no, then get rid of it and replace it with something else. So I look at it as hey, is the system or process proven?
Yeah. And the mastery over newness that's gold, because I'll say this, everything takes time. Like there's going to be a time component to that, Vince. And what I mean by this is that some of these things that are working, and I know why you're asking this question. It's a great question. Some of these things that are working for people that have done it for 4, 5, 6 years.
It's another good. wouldn't that be another good one? Go and find the people that it's worked for.
Yeah.
That is one good thing. And I'm just using the online dating thing over and over because that's how I met Erica. You know,
Yeah.
But when I was doing it, there were some like weird dates.
Yeah.
There really were.
Yeah.
But what I did do is I went and found people that it worked for. And I was like, hey man, what am I doing wrong? You know, or am I doing anything wrong? And they're like, oh, well, first of all, put your shirt back on in your profile. Guys, I was totally newbie. No judge. It's horrible. And I literally, I didn't hire a guy. He was a friend of mine, but he like completely redid my profile. He changed my copy and stuff like that.
That's great.
Yeah. So I would say like for Vince is find people that are following that process, that are killing it, and kind of see what tweaks they might be able to apply.
And mirror it, but keep in mind that time factor, that there is a time factor to that. But Vince, mastery over newness is probably one of the best things I've ever heard, because that is master what you're currently doing. And I would say, I think we both know we're not to that point yet. I think we can master, there's some things we can master before we switch it up.
Right.
Hopefully I think that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. I like what you said, Michael. Programs don't suck, people suck.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, when I started dating, it didn't matter if it was online or off. Dude, I was horrible.
Yeah.
I was like Douchasaurus Rex, man. Like Guido. I just didn't know, man. I'm married 13 years, never been in that game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised I didn't have like the gold chain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really feel bad for the first several women that I dated. You know, I opened the door and was nice, but I was just, I sucked to date at the time.
Yeah.
You know, until I kind of.
Yeah. And here's the thing too about programs don't suck, people suck. And this is, if someone comes to me and says, Michael, I'm doing this, I'm doing it, and it's just not working. Well, I'm gonna break that down. What are you doing? What is it that you think that you are doing? Do you understand that it's 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.? Do you understand that may be what it takes for 4 to 6 years? I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it only takes you 2 hours and you're this mad scientist genius. I don't know, but like programs exist because they work. People don't develop programs because they're bored.
Right.
They develop programs because the program worked, and it's like, I want to show other people how to use the program that's working.
Right.
So.
And I think that also with the programs, saying like, hey, the program works. I'm not going to argue with that. It's not the program for me. I had a guy tell me that once, you know, and I thought it was a very genuine and authentic story. Same as I did. I'm not questioning the program. The program works, dude.
Yeah.
I just don't want to work the program.
Yeah.
And to me, that is a very fulfilling statement, because now you're like, dude, I'm not even going over that. I'm not even getting into this or that or whatever. I'm taking ownership. It is just not the system for me.
Sure.
Cool. Now you've just given yourself permission to find the system that is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
As opposed to being, well, this system's broke and everything's broke and I'm just going to stay here.
Sure.
So sometimes, I mean, continue to work the system or find one that you like better. But what you don't want to do is be basking in a sea of indecision, you know?
Yeah. Justin has a good question. We'll make this the last one. He says, I know the family, friends, wife, I can grow in that aspect. Between work and kids, I don't get as much time to spend with the wife. We have pretty much opposite schedules, and we have another baby due middle of this month. And I want to get back to dating my wife, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yes. Makes perfect sense. Brother, here would be my answer to that. And then Michael, you could probably speak a little bit more genuinely because you have kids and whatnot. But my answer from my heart would be your family's wife depends on your marital unit. The marital unit is what is feeding the kids, what's feeding the newborn. And if that is at 60%, then they're feeding at 60%. If that's at 90%, they're being fed at 90%. So the marriage comes before the kids. It's God, marriage, kids. And I know that's Danny actually taught me that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think really, really prioritizing that. So, you know, I'd like to hear what you have to say on this, because you have kids and newborns.
I agree. And Justin, here's what I'm going to say. And don't take this the wrong way, but I'm going to call you out on this one. I'm going to say, you're not making it a priority. You need to make dating your wife a priority. So whatever that means is what it means. You need to find a way. You need to hire a babysitter. You need to call an in-law. Whatever it is you need to do, you need to figure it out. You're the man. You're the king of that house. You run that household. you need to figure that out. You need to own that and go, all right, yeah, I need to leave work 2 hours early tonight. Work can wait, right? If it's to that point where you really want to date your wife, that needs to be a priority for you. And your wife needs to see you take charge of that. Your wife needs to see you, I'm going to do whatever I can do to make sure I take you out tonight and make you feel special. So whatever that means, if I got to pay a babysitter $200, whatever that, figure it out. That's my advice to you. And it may sound
No, it's
insensitive, but it is what it is on that. You've got to make her the priority, period.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Whatever it takes on that. So hopefully that makes sense, Justin. I find it, dude, just find it, figure it out, you know? So guys, this has been a lot of fun. Jesse, thank you for opening up your library to us.
Yeah.
The study.
Yeah.
And we appreciate all of you so much. And I'd love if you guys would maybe, share this on social media in terms of maybe make a status and tag us, or maybe.
Yeah, we would love to grow the group.
Yeah.
And I want more, and just because if you don't want to speak up, totally fine. Like that's not a requirement, but I love having, like, when Jennifer contributes, and I like what you said tonight, Jennifer, how you were like, dude, that rubbed me the wrong way, but it also made you look introspectively. And even if there wasn't a positive outcome, even like, hey, that comment rubbed me the wrong way, I love the fact that's awesome. Let's talk about that. This is not a rainbow and butterflies and everyone is caramel and happy and we're all ice cream group. We're here to challenge each other to think differently. That's the kind of people that we want in here, not a bunch of sheep. And I love how this is evolving. Lions.
I love it.
Yeah.
Share it with a friend, guys. I hope you have a great week.
All right. Have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday with Danny to close out finances.
Yes.
All right. See you guys.